Hello everybody, it's Julia here from the Highly Sensitive Tarot, and I realise it's been a while. I think it's been a couple of weeks, maybe more, since I've done a video. I just had a lot going on really, and my brain just has not wanted to focus. It's been quite difficult to get into a mindset where I felt like I could sit down and do this. But anyway, I'm here today and I'm really pleased to be here today. Over about the last 3 or 4 weeks, I've been looking at this deck here, the Surrealist Tarot. And I first saw this deck on Emzy's channel at Mystic Emzy. I think she was doing a VR to somebody about weird decks. And this is certainly a weird deck. It is weird and wonderful. I love it, but I'm not sure that I can read with it. In fact, I know that I can't read with it. I've had this deck, as I said, 3 or 4 weeks. I've been pulling a card every day and writing in my journal, and that's about all I've managed to do with it. I'm fascinated with surrealism and have been for some time. It's not particularly artwork that I would want to hang on my wall, but it's really intriguing, isn't it? It's kind of like that tension between illusion and reality, or what's visible and what's hidden. It's just weird, isn't it? It's just weird. And I think the longer you look at some of these images, the more weird they become. It's not like they become clearer. So for me to sit down and do any kind of real reading with this, even 3 or 4 cards, I think I would struggle. It does not make any sense to me. I don't feel like it follows Rider-Waite-Smith. It doesn't seem to follow any other system of tarot. It is just what it is, and it's colourful, it's interesting, it's a real study. It's something, that I've really enjoyed looking at, but I don't think it will be a deck that I'll get out rarely, if ever, to read with in any kind of serious way. I mean, it could be a really, really good deck to open your mind creatively if you were thinking about storytelling or something like that, because there's just so much imagery here that would lend itself to storytelling, but or maybe even to dream work. I mean, if you were keeping a dream journal and you wanted some symbology or some images that might kind of open your mind up a bit about your dreams, this could be a good deck for that. But for just, serious sort of good old-fashioned tarot readings, no. No. I do love it. It comes in this nice little tuck box. It's a deck by Luigi di Giamarino. It's low scarabeo. I don't think it cost a lot. It was maybe about £18 in the UK. It comes with this little guidebook, which most low scarabeo decks come. It's got lots of different other languages in it. It has actually got a decent amount of information about each of the cards, and a bit about surrealism here as well, actually. So I'm going to read you a little bit about surrealism before I show you some of the cards. And I'm not going to show you them all. This is not a walkthrough or a flip through. This is my experience with this deck over the last month and my thoughts and feelings about some of the cards. So I've pulled out all of the majors, which are here, because I think that they're often really interesting to look at. And then I've pulled out some of my most intriguing court cards and minors. So it says here, Surrealism was a cultural movement. There was a first Surrealist manifesto in 1924. It involved all visual arts, literature, the infant cinema. It had a profound effect on the research of many artists and intellectuals. Somebody called Andre Breton found it unacceptable, especially in the light of the latest discoveries in psychoanalysts at the time. So this would have been around the time of Freud, wouldn't it? That modern civilization did not recognize the human and intrapsychic realities of the dreams and unconscious. I'm trying to think when Carl Jung was around. I've read extensively Carl Jung's work, but I'm terrible with dates. So I'm sure this was around the time of Carl Jung and Freud and other such psychologists and psychiatrists. So it says Surrealism was born essentially as a rebellion against the dictatorship of rationality by setting itself the objective of essentially releasing the imaginative potentials of the unconscious. So as I said, this could be a good deck to be looking at your dreams with, couldn't it? So in order to reach a state beyond reality that is surreality, this state of utopian folly was nothing other in Breton's eyes than the actual functioning of thought, namely, or the absence of any control exercised by reason beyond the aesthetic and moral concern. With their deep delving into the highly imaginative magma of the unconscious, goaded by an incessant yearning for spiritual liberation, Surrealist artists became their work. They became material of what dreams are made of and guided us on a journey where, in the words of Magritte, the sense is the impossible. Excuse me. So it says, the Surrealist Tarot deck was designed and produced following the same techniques adopted by the Surrealist, and this is why one may say that this is a deck with a liquid skeleton, where the structure bends to the needs of dreams and poetry. The major arcana embody the stages of a dreamlike journey, punctuated by surreal visions, some of which, like Dali's soft watches or Magrette's men in bowler hats, have become a shared heritage of imagination. We've got one of those men here, haven't we? The bowler hat. It's a very familiar theme, isn't it, that we have seen in life. Each major, as well as each minor, bears an evocative name which often recalls an existing surrealist painting. The major arcana are also accompanied by a quote that expands the meaning of the card. And that actually is quite helpful, even though there's a very, very small amount here written, but it is kind of helpful, I suppose. What else is there? Yeah, so let's show you some cards. As I said, I've pulled out all the majors here, so pull that up just a little bit. Yeah. So the Fool, most of these cards, I have no clue whatsoever what's going on in them, none whatsoever. They have vaguely familiar themes that you can follow that give you a clue, and it's a good job the name of the card is on the card, because otherwise I wouldn't know. I mean, this is the Fool, and it looks like there's Vincent van Gogh there, potentially. There's some opium poppies, there's pyramids. He's holding a shoe on the top of a stake. There's two suns. I mean, as I said, what the hell? The Magician, this is beautiful. A lot of the artwork sort of follows that. I think there's several different artists involved in the artwork in this. The Magician, we've got the infinity sign there. We've got all the colours. Yeah, I mean, you can kind of see what's going on in some of these, but also they are a bit what the hell. the High Priestess. You know, some of the familiar themes are there. We've got the pomegranate. We've got as above, so below, haven't we? Yeah. The Empress. Beautiful card. And for these majors, as I said, the little guidebook does have a name for all of these people, and the Empress is called the Giantess here. It says creative frenzy, an unsettling muse capable of revolutionizing the course of a lifetime. The future of man is woman. And that's a quote. The future of man is woman. Then we have the Emperor. It says here that he's a Christolithic monster. A creator only needs one enthusiast to justify himself. And that's a quote. Well, I can see that. And we can see the Emperor here very clearly, can't we? The Hierophant. It says this is the Pope, the great liberator, the search for meaning. And the quote here is, I force myself to contradict myself so as to avoid conforming to my own taste. Marcel Duchamp. I forced myself to contradict myself so as to avoid conforming to my own taste. I mean, who could not like that? That's hilarious. We've got the Lovers here. There's a theme through these cards I've noticed. We get a lot of men with bowler hats. We get a lot of green apples, sometimes red apples. And we get a lot of eggs, actually, as well in these cards. But I think the green apples, what does that represent? I mean, that's the wisdom, isn't it? That I think there's the apple on the tree of wisdom in the Garden of Eden with Adam and Eve, wasn't it? So it's about forbidden fruit, isn't it? Yeah. Forbidden fruit, forbidden knowledge. Yeah. I mean, beautiful cards, but oh my God. And see, we've got that again here a lot, haven't we? The bowler hat, the pipe, the apple, the train. What did it say about that one? Justice, the empty mask. The flip side of things, more fascinating than their appearance. And it says here, education is a dress. It is a paint whose presence does not necessarily mean that that knowledge has been assimilated. Antoine Artaud. I'm sorry about my pronunciation. But like, you know, what the hell is going on here? So weird. The Hermit. I mean, I get that. We can see the Hermit, and we can see he's breaking out of this egg here, hasn't he? He's breaking out of the egg. And I do remember there's like a creation myth, isn't there, of the cosmic egg, which is kind of where all life came from. I think that's a very, very old creation myth, going probably back to Babylonian and Egyptian times. Of course, Christianity took over the whole theme of eggs, didn't they, with the sort of fertility and fertility, resurrection, I suppose. So yeah, perhaps that's what's going on here in the Hermit. Then we've got the Wheel, and we've got Magritte. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He was the artist Magritte, and it's his men in bowler hats with pipes and apples. And I remember reading in the little guidebook here about him that he was a Belgian artist, And I think the reason for this kind of art was he aimed to sort of distance the object from its prescribed purpose. As in a pipe, this is not a pipe, but I don't know, it's just, it is surreal, isn't it? It is surreal. And the Wheel of Fortune here is called the Well of Truth. And the quote here is Jacques Prévert. Our life is not behind us, nor ahead of us, nor current, but it is inside us. So it's like a man within a man, isn't it? Then we've got Strength, which is called the Force in this deck. The Secret Toy, bizarrely. The beauty of the inner monster that is longing to be understood and embraced. And the quote is, let the dog covered in mud come in. What the hell? What the hell? Now, the Hanged Man, I can totally get this one. And this looks like Pinocchio, doesn't it? It's a little wooden man. I think we've got the whale there, haven't we, that he got swallowed in? Is that Jonah and the whale? I'm not really sure. But yeah, I can instantly recognise that as the Hanged Man. Then we've got Death. And it says, this is called the condition of life. Dying energy leaves us in order for complete renovation. Anguish and pain, pleasure and death are nothing other than a process in order to exist, is the quote. And again, I mean, this card could have been anything really. It doesn't shout death to me. And when we do have some kind of lizard sort of embryotic type creature in there and an old lady this side, but it doesn't shout death, does it? And again, this doesn't shout temperance, does it? This is the crystal bathroom, this is called. Inner alchemy, the soul recognizes the waste it needs to be rid of. Salvador Dali, the quote, beauty will be edible or it will not exist at all. So again, there's sheep going into there. I guess they'll be transformed as they come out as something else, won't they? Then we've got the devil, and this is Dali, isn't it? This is Salvador Dali. A logical devil, it says, meeting with the shadow. All things always hide another example of themselves. And the quote is, no one has ever written, painted, sculpted, modelled, constructed or invented except in order to actually get out of hell. So that's really quite profound, isn't it? And like I said, the more you look at these cards, the more detail you see, the more connections you make. And really, the weirder it gets. The Tower. I mean, this is kind of recognisable as the Tower, isn't it? You know, this great big huge mountainous sort of building here is just sat on the back, which is like a cross, isn't it? Like a Christian cross. And it's sort of on the back of this creature here with long thin legs. So it's easy to see, excuse me, it's easy to see that the tower will fall here. It says the weak point, destruction of all abuse of logic, rejection of all hypocrisy and compromise. Yeah, I can kind of see that there. The Star. Now this is a beautiful card, and there's lots of stars within this card. So you could guess at what it is. You could guess at what's going on here. It says this is a living mirror. And the quote is, heaven lies precisely in the middle of the chest of a man who has faith. And that's by Dali again. Then we have the moon. And it's like this man here is picking up the rocks from the moon and like he's going to put them back into the gaps here. And this man is taking bits away. I don't know. It's quite weird. And then we've got birds in the moon that look like leaves also. Now this one, I mean, what the hell is going on here? A fried egg for the sun with this creature down here riding a flaming pony. The egg has a slight little look of a turkey about it. I don't know whether you can see that, but in its head. Oh, what is that? It says of this card, paranoid critical sunrise. Imagination regains its natural rights. Reconciliation with the dark side. Beauty will be convulsive or it will not exist. I don't know what that means. That's right over my head. Judgment. Well, again, I can kind of see what's going on here. We've got the angel with the trumpet. We've got the souls arising out of the ground. We can see that this is judgment. And then the world. Like I said, we've got this egg here, haven't we? Which could be like the cosmic egg. It could be the birthing of all creation. And we've got this, like, we've got men here all around, all like working. I don't know whether they're working to put things together or take things apart. But it says that the birth of a galaxy. Detachment from bonds, total integrity to oneself and to one's vision. In order to cover itself with a sunrise, the sky will really need to be as pure as the night. So there you go. You can see what I mean. You can see why I've had such troubles with this deck. I thought I'd show you some of the cards that I found most sort of fascinating, I suppose. Like the Page of Swords here. I can kind of get this. You know, we can see the chessboard, the logicalness of the seriousness. You know, it's like this person here is pondering on a puzzle and like this is maybe a projection of themselves. I don't know, but I like that. The Queen of Swords, which is very, very different, isn't it, from the rest of the artwork? And I really quite like this also. I think what's interesting in here, in the guidebook also, is that they have a name for the different suits. And the swords are called the unconscious. It says the psychic place where we need to immerse ourselves to experience the genuine mechanism of dreamlike experiences and reveal the true functioning of thought. And the Queen of Swords, it says here, attraction towards the shady side of life, dancing on the tip of a knife and walking along its blade, seduction. So is that what's going on here? Seduction? It's kind of a voyeurism, isn't there, I suppose? I really like that card. The King of Swords. I mean, look at this. What the hell is going on here? We've got like a damsel in distress. We've got Dali. We've got a razor. Lips with a bowler hat. Someone's eye. I mean, it's beyond me, to be honest. It says here, a sharp and critical intelligence, on occasions a little cold. Materialism. Well, I suppose we can see that there, can't we? Yeah. And then we've got the Page of Cups. And in this card, we've got a man with an egg there. A man with no face. This man here with an egg on his knee. He looks like he has hoofs. Like he's not really a man. I mean, just so weird. What do they call the cups in this deck? Let me have a look. L'amour fou. I can't pronounce that. You know what I'm like. Anyway, this is the cups. Love as the sole salvation in the world. Love that is implored, suffered or betrayed, but in the end always sought after, rebellious and explosive, unknown and magical, the only harshness that man needs to know. What is that? The Knave. It just says the soul is a sweet, sensitive child that creates universes when he or she feels protected, but is capable of deception if neglected. It's also inspiration. So again, I don't know what the hell that is. This card is gorgeous, and this is the Queen of Cups, isn't it? I totally get this, and it's a real departure, I think, from the other real weirdness. I really like that. It's like being completely immersed within emotions, isn't it? It's a real empathy card, I think, that, with all the greens and blues. The King of Cups, again, I have no idea what's going on there. In the little guidebook, it says the ability to reveal hidden truths. Well, perhaps. I don't know. The Page of Pentacles. What does it say about Pentacles? Liberation. Yeah, liberation. And the Page. An impulse that starts from deep down and creates the world following its own inner vision. Sensuality. Well, you can kind of see that there, can't you? You can kind of see that there. Then the Knight of Pentacles, which is in a similar sort of style, isn't it, to the Queen of Cups. Do you see how some of these cards have similar... they must have been done by the same artist, I guess, mustn't they? I like this. We can see this is the Knight of Pentacles. That's not difficult. And then the King of Pentacles, which again, I mean... whatever is going on there. It says in the guidebook, self-love, creativity, likable, boastfulness. By dint of believing yourself a genius, you actually become one. And I guess that was Dali, wasn't it? The Spanish artist. That was Dali. I can quite imagine that he believed himself to be a genius and therefore became known as one. I mean, you may not be able to see all the detail in this card, but we've got the melted watches. Just people hidden away. I mean, it is just very weird. We've got the egg, haven't we? It's like he's almost conducting a symphony there. It's very, very strange. The Knight of Wands. What does it say about wands? It says folly. Rebellion against the dictatorship of logic leads surrealism to praise folly, a vehicle for getting out of this servile world with its suffocating idiocy that welcomes this suffocation. Okay. And this is the Knight of Wands, isn't it? So it says humanitarian and therapeutic ideals, life as art and practical magic, a spiritual warrior. Well, I would have got none of that from this. Not a thing. I always associate the Knight of Wands as a bit of a go-getter. Somebody maybe not to be trusted. Somebody a bit impulsive. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. Then we've got the Queen of Wands, and again, I do not know what the hell is going on there. The ability through sacrifice to look into people's hearts, through matter, pain that leads to strength and liberation. Wow. I mean, it's quite a beautiful card, actually. it's very weird. I mean, there's a heart here, and it's like she's painting this skull thing, and all the bits of her body are exposed, all the blood vessels, and there's chunks of flesh. There's a fish in there. I mean, what the hell? And what the hell with this as well? The King. What does it say about the King of Wands? The flame of passion that stirs thought and conscience, sometimes dogmatism and intransience. Wow. I don't know. I'd have to peer at this for quite some time and really try and like free associate and let my imagination run wild with all of this. That's not a King of Wands energy for me. I don't know, really. The Two of Swords. I quite like this card. I can see that tension here in the Two of Swords. It's like she's looking away, isn't she? It's not like she has a mask on in this, but she's just looking away. Maybe like a refusal to look, a refusal to move. The Three of Swords again. Why have we got Facebook and emojis here? Is it that? And like a woman sacrificed here with a pin in her heart. Is that our betrayal of ourselves with social media? Is it that we give ourselves away? I don't really know. Let's have a look. Does it say anything here? The taste of tears, imposed choices, humiliations and wounds to the soul. Well, I suppose this is very public, isn't it? She's spread out here for all the public to see, and I guess that's how you might feel on social media, on Facebook and such like. So yeah, there's definitely a torment about that. The Four of Swords. I found this particularly interesting because we normally see somebody just resting, don't we, having some time out, and this is called anthropomorphic bread. Spontaneous and temporary surrender to a self-cannibalistic process of loving, healing and reprieve. It's like he's been sliced up, completely sliced into bits, and got to be put back together again. I don't know. The Five of Swords. This one is called the Spectre of the Libido. Subliminal aggressiveness that comes from the fear of solitude, needless appropriation of someone else's ideas. It's weird, isn't it? We've got like a male and a female here, and it's like the female is pulling at the bandages or the ribbons of this male here, like pulling him apart. I don't know, very strange. The Seven of Swords. He's about to have a shave. We've got all the razors coming through the clouds. He's got the green apple, a woman half in blue and half her own colour. This is called the Seducer. Total trust that turns into recklessness or even folly, cunning and clever tricks. It's about like he may be about to have his throat slit here rather than be shaved. I'm not sure. I really like this one, the Eight of Swords, actually. I can kind of get this. It says in the book, The Dark Gods, the mind lost in the maze created by itself, restlessness. And I think this is our human struggle, isn't it? This is certainly a modern day human struggle as well. You know, this woman here is blindfolded and she's surrounded by all of the bits of her life, perfume and umbrellas and cotton and thread and paintbrushes, lipstick, mirrors. I guess lots of things that women would be interested in, but it just makes me think you know, if it was to be me in the middle there would be books and tarot and my cat and the garden and plants and YouTube, and there would be all sorts of things, and it's like the things that tie us down and the things we kind of get stuck in, I suppose, that we lose ourselves in. Yeah. Now this one, I don't know what that is. It says here, the companions of fear, feelings of guilt, a fear that may be a necessary step on the way to maturity. And this is the 9 of Cups. I don't think I've ever seen anything that is more not the 9 of Cups. I mean, I guess if these people lifted this off, if they've got a face under there, I don't know. The companions of fear. I don't know what that is. I also don't know what this one is. I really quite like it as an image. It says the relics of a shadow, the 10 of Cups. Eclipses of the inner sun in favour of the dawn of a black sun, a fake idol. Detachment from what one has believed in and the end of a cycle. Well, I kind of get it, I suppose. I don't know. It's a fascinating image, but not something in a million years I'd ever dream for the 10 of Cups. The 3 of Wands, I get this. I quite like that. It's a nice image, isn't it? What does it say about it? The lucky hand. Self-confidence arising from a forceful impetus in the heart. A forceful impetus in the heart. Infantile desire to impress others and egomania. Well, again, I wouldn't say that was the 3 of Wands, but this man is about to head off on a journey somewhere, isn't he? He's only attached by this thin string here, and then I guess he'll be off. I've got the egg there again. I don't know. The Ace of Pentacles, the cosmic egg, I think that is, with a ship in it, about to set sail. What does it say about the Ace of Pentacles? The pleasure principle, the dazzling splendour of inner liberation, spiritual power and social success. So it's breaking free, isn't it, I think? Now, these last 3 cards, the 8, 9 and 10 of Pentacles, I really like all 3 of these, and I kind of do get them, I think. This is beautiful, isn't it? I think this might be one of my favourite cards in the entire deck, actually. What does it say? Attempting the impossible, a new step made possible by a dream that others consider to be absurd. So maybe this is like this woman is growing all of these sunflowers in this forest in the water, which would be absurd, wouldn't it? It would seem impossible, but yet she's doing it. And then in the 9 of Pentacles, we've got natural encounters, happy though not entirely disinterested encounters, surprising and sometimes ridiculous situations. Yeah, I suppose we can see this beautiful purple flower blossoming here within what kind of looks like a bit of a garden. I don't really understand that, but I do very much like that card. I think it's quite beautiful. And then with the 10 of Pentacles, you can kind of feel the burden on this man in this card, can't you? It says here, the large table. There is no contrast between high and low, between material wealth and spiritual objectives. And yet, for this man, everything is grey and mechanical and logical and material, isn't it? Seems kind of burdened by that. But anyway, that's all of the cards I think I wanted to show you. It's obviously not all of the cards that were in the deck, but it's the ones I think that I've pulled out of this deck the most, and the ones that I had some thoughts on, I suppose, because not all of them inspired any kind of real thought process in my head. Many of them I just looked at and just thought, what the hell? What the hell? I don't understand. I don't know what you are. I don't know what you mean. You make no sense. I can't read you. Too surreal, too weird, too surreal. But at the same time, these are beautiful, and I have got several art type tarot decks, so I'm really quite happy to have this in my collection, and I'm sure it will come out and get looked at. Like I said, I think it will be very valuable and useful for dream work, but other than that, that's kind of my experience with this deck over the last month. It is weird but wonderful, and I'm pleased that I bought it. So, as I said, if any of you have any experience of working with this deck, if you've got any opinions or thoughts, I'd love to hear from you. And I shall see you all again soon. Thank you.